welcome back to Enka and welcome back to another movie review. Woo! In the spirit of the holidays and with Christmas just around the corner, we decided to watch another horror movie.
Oh, yeah.
Worry not, this Christmas movie is the one and only Five Nights at Freddy's.
Very festive.
Very festive. Nah, just kidding. Christmas movie reviews will be coming later on this month.
Very soon, actually.
Very soon. This is just the couple of spooky movies that we watched after Halloween that we decided are worth it of this. I mean, horror movies, honestly, an all year round experience.
Of course.
In my opinion. It's not just this time. It's not just Halloween. But Christmas, it's only for Christmas season. It's like you cannot be watching Elf in like June.
That's true. It just doesn't fit.
Yeah. So today we're reviewing Five Nights at Freddy's, and we watched this movie. Yeah, I think like early November.
Yeah.
And I mean, for what I was actually like reading around about this movie, so this movie was actually funded and initially proposed in 2015.
Oh, wow.
When the game Five Nights at Freddy's, the independent game, came about and became such a huge game independently. And so it was bought out, the rights to make a movie for it. And I don't know, for some reason, it just never happened till now. Like, they never stopped. They always continued. But they decided to make this movie almost, I mean, like Hollywood low budget. So I think it was like $20 million in budget or something like that. And I'm sure you'll tell me how much it'll make in a little bit. But $20 million for a Hollywood film is honestly not a lot. And I think that was the right decision. Because I think sometimes you get too much into like I have no limits. So I'm just going to put everything. And I think this film specifically was pretty concise to what it wanted to do.
Yeah.
And $20 million, I think, made it so that the filmmakers went a little bit more creatively on their approach rather than let's just put a monster and do whatever.
Or let's have it be fully green screen.
Exactly.
Where it felt like so much of the visual effects was actually like made. If that makes sense. Like they actually made animatronics is what it looked like.
Yeah.
They actually made prosthetic pieces.
All right. Do you want to get into it?
Yep. So this movie was released on October 27th of this year, directed by Emma Tammy. And at the box office, it made $299.6 million.
That's really good.
I can't say that I'm not that surprised. It is now available to watch on Peacock. In case you want to see it, haven't seen it already, you can find it there. As far as the cast goes, it was Josh Hutcherson, which very popular when we were middle school.
Yeah, when he was a kid, he was a big actor for someone like his younger acting career.
What movies are you talking about?
I'm thinking of this one movie where he's with this little girl that she has blonde hair, short blonde hair. I don't remember the name of the movie.
Bridge to Terabithia?
It might be. I don't know. And what
That sounds right. It's this one right here, 2007.
Because which movie do you know him from?
I know him from The Hunger Games.
Oh, well, yeah, I have not seen The Hunger Games, so.
He probably just shocked a lot of people by admitting that on camera. But
I think so. The thing with Kaylin is that she loves rewatching movies, but not the movies I want to watch, of course, because why would that happen? I've been begging we watch The Hunger Games, and she's like, eh.
We'll get there when we get there. Anyways, we also have Matthew Lillard, Elizabeth Lail.
Love Matthew Lillard.
Let's see. Kate Connor Sterling. And then who else? Oh, Aunt Jan was Mary Stuart Masterson. A lot of people that I don't know that well, although Matthew Lillard was Shaggy.
And he was also in Santa Clarita Diet, one of my favorite shows.
And Scream, actually.
Yes, I have not seen. I've seen the first Scream, not anything past that.
So yeah, some people we haven't seen in a while, and then some people I had never seen. So I really enjoyed it. I really liked this movie overall.
One thing about the movie, what I was seeing online, is that the people that were coming to see Five Nights at Freddy's as a casual movie watcher and just like horror fans and whatnot, they were taken aback by the amount of young kids,
teenagers in the
teenagers that played Five Nights at Freddy's, and when they were like young, like 10 or so, and now they're like 15 and whatnot, and getting rowdy. They're not with their parents, they're going out with their friends for the first couple of years, and we're just being loud and obnoxious, and people were having bad experiences watching Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah, there was many instances I saw on TikTok of people being like, we tried to go see this movie, and the teenagers, they were screaming at things that were barely scary, and then they were screaming into the next scene when the dialogue was already going. They were talking throughout the whole movie as if they had like their own home theater, that they stole other people's seats.
Yes, I heard about that too.
So yeah, don't do that. If you're watching a movie,
just for any movie,
have
just
some
in general.
etiquette, please. But yeah, I'm glad that our experience was good. I think we watched it. I think because we watched it after Halloween, a lot of the main people that would go see it didn't see it.
Yeah,
or had already
we
seen
watched
it yet.
it maybe, I don't know, a month.
We also saw it on a Thursday,
Yeah.
which people don't go on a Thursday.
But yeah, all in all, I think we had a good experience, and I cannot
Really
complain.
good. I really liked the animatronics. Like I said, I think they didn't
Not
look too
doing
green
CGI
screeny.
a lot.
Yeah, if they used CGI, it felt like it didn't look fake.
It was a bit more natural,
know?
for sure.
Yeah, it felt like I was actually seeing someone like with a suit on.
Yeah.
Because you could really see some of like the texture.
I mean, yeah, getting a little bit into the movie itself, it was really interesting at the very beginning because it didn't really feel like a horror movie. At some points, it just felt like, I don't know, a drama with the whole situation about the kid and whatnot. But I think
we should probably tell the viewers who have no idea what Five Nights at Freddy's is about, what this movie is about.
I think Five Nights at Freddy's is a universal experience. I experienced it in Colombia.
Okay.
Anyways,
we're also in our 20s.
Sure.
Let me pull up the synopsis. Don't mind me.
I mean, like I was saying earlier, Five Nights at Freddy's is a game and that was made independently by only a couple of people. And around 2015-ish.
I thought it was a little earlier than that.
No, I don't think so. Well, maybe like 2014-ish.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I was definitely a teenager myself. And it was, big, huge.
The premise of the game
Think
is
Fortnite.
that you are a security guard in a pizza parlor in which the animatronics come to life, and you have to survive till morning.
Yeah.
And it primarily boasted off of like jump scares.
Yeah.
But it was really
and
popular
intense
with
moments
kids.
of seeing the monster, because you're going back and forth between different cameras and the security
Seeing like
footage.
security cameras.
So sometimes the monster will be far away. Sometimes it will literally be jumping at you.
Yeah. I would watch Markiplier play a lot when I was younger.
I never watched. Some of my YouTubers played it, but I would skip on those videos because
You don't want to be scared.
I didn't want to be scared, and I also didn't play it myself. I found it kind of boring playing it.
But the movie itself is a troubled security guard begins working at Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. While spending his first night on the job, he realizes the late shift at Freddy's won't be so easy to make it through. So it really takes in, because what's happened with the whole franchise is that there's now lore.
Yeah.
And like people are like discovering different storylines within it. So there's like this whole community online that's like obsessed with it.
More than a game, it's transcended to become just like a culture almost.
Yeah, definitely.
Like if you look, for example, at the Funko Pops for Five Nights at Freddy's, you will think that you will just get the ones from the games like any other video game, but no.
There's also so many games now. Yeah, there's like different variations, and they're all related to different storylines. But yeah, so this movie, it brought in all of that lore. And I watched videos after watching the movie, and they stuck true to the lore. Like the lore doesn't really change. And I think that changes is that we have a security guard who has a whole personality and a whole life. That's the only thing that's different, because in all the games,
it
you're
gets you
the
a little bit more
guard.
into the skin of the security guard.
Exactly,
per se.
yeah. So, yeah, I thought it was really interesting. I really liked it. There was a moment in the middle where I was worried it would become like a comedy.
Yes. There was sometimes specifically when the kid realizes what's going on.
Yeah, and tries to like befriend the animatronics.
I was like, so where's this going now?
It kind of felt like it like took like a left turn for a sec, and where
like we're done with horror.
Yeah, where we saw the animatronics as like nice because you realize that like the spirits of dead children are inhabiting inside of them, and so they're just children and they don't know any better. But then they go back to being murderous and whatnot, and then you get to the end.
At that point, I think it gets a little bit less horror, more action, if anything. But throughout the whole movie, you don't have the feeling of like, because initially I thought it was gonna be one night, because obviously like if you discovered that your job is haunted with actual people that want to kill you, why are you going back?
Right.
So initially I thought it was going to be only one night, but then we went through the first night pretty quick, and the guy already knew that the monsters were there, and then he came back. I was just so surprised. And that's actually when they started being a little bit more scary, and he had to bring his sister.
Yep.
So yeah, at some point it wasn't really a horror movie, and I think that was fully intentional. I don't think the filmmakers mistakenly made the movie different genres at different times. I think that was fully on purpose.
Yeah, and I liked it. I think it worked pretty well. For some movies it wouldn't work, but for this one it worked because you also, like, it reminds you of, like, the game in which you're trying to survive, and so you want him to survive more than anything, and there's scares scattered through, like, this creepy jump scare guy, like the name of that little toy keeps popping out of nowhere.
That one was scary.
So like it brings it back up here and there, but you definitely felt like the horror thriller.
And I guess it also goes back to the video game itself, because you don't only survive for only one day. You go like day 1, day 2, day 3, and the whole point of the game I think is to survive a whole week.
I think so, something like that.
If I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I guess it goes back to the game itself not being only one night. Yeah. Should we get into some reviews?
Yes, we shall. Trusty dusty iPad. Trusty dusty, wow.
Trusty dusty, wow. That's so mean to the iPad.
I know. What did it do to me? This one is from vulture.com. It says, before you ask if I'm losing my mind, though for the record the answer is always yes, know that the brain tends to wander in the presence of catastrophic inanity. Five Nights at Freddy's the movie is the kind of hollowed out exercise in atrociousness that pretty much forces you to mull other things, be they what you're having for dinner, the decline of American community, or the heat death of the universe. Which is crazy because there is a giant face-eating cupcake in this picture. You'd think that would be interesting, or at least interestingly shot. But alas, the overwhelming, soul-crushing bleakness of Emma Tammy's film steamrolls any momentary promise of fun. The movie isn't particularly scary, but it's full of jump scares. Its characters are resoundingly one-dimensional, but they're all stone-faced and haunted the way horror movie protagonists are supposed to be. They say idiotic things, but they're the kinds of adorably idiotic things a kid might imagine grown-up saying in a grown-up film. And the whole thing is so underpopulated that when we finally learn who's been masterminding all these murderous goings-ons at Freddy's, the reveal falls completely flat because there's literally nobody else left in the movie. Five Nights at Freddy's takes itself too seriously, but that might actually make it a hit. If it was too frivolous or colorful or goofy, it would turn off adults.
Yeah.
But if its scares had any real meat to them, or if its plot's hysterics about trauma felt in any way genuine, the film might feel inappropriate for kids. So what we're left with are a lot of supposed to be's, things that are supposed to be scary or supposed to be serious or supposed to be grown up. At heart, Five Nights at Freddy's is a nowhere movie, neither here nor there, which might be precisely where it needs to be.
Wow, that is so crazy the way they're trying to describe that. Because I can fully see that.
Yeah.
Like, yes, there was a lot of jump scares, but there wasn't really any suspense, which is usually what drives in the horror aspect.
There was suspense in moments, but not the whole thing, definitely.
But what they were saying about it, if it was too childish, the adults wouldn't watch it, and if it was too scary, the kids wouldn't watch it.
They had a balance on a fine line.
I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah.
And I mean, for someone that somewhat grew up with Five Nights at Freddy's, even though I never played it, but in the era of like Slenderman and other creepypastas like that, but didn't actually play it, I think as an adult, I can still appreciate what they did with this. I mean, it's just insane the fact that after so many years, it's still relevant.
Yeah.
And I go back to what I said earlier about it looking like a Fortnite kind of thing, because it's a game that has a cult following and it just keeps on growing.
Yeah.
And it being a horror as well, because I feel like most horror games, say Outlast and Resident Evil, all of those games are usually like, you play it once, you're kind of done, you don't really go back. But the replayability of the video game made it so that you can add more stuff to it, including a movie that is relevant 8 years afterwards. I find that absolutely amazing, and I think it calls out to different audiences in different aspects. Like, yes, you might expect something more scary, but I think it was scary enough for it to be worth a watch.
Definitely. This next one's a little funny, because it's someone's genuine response to having had just watched the movie. It was posted to seattlespectator.com.
Okay.
I never anticipated witnessing a Chuck E. Cheese knockoff displaying erratic and homicidal behavior viciously bite the head off a young woman. I never expected to shed a tear during a PG-13 adaptation of a decade-old sci-fi horror game either. Thanks to the beauty of cinema, however, both of those things happen within a 110-minute time frame. Then comes teary-eyed moment number 2, watching the animatronics build a fort with Abby, rearranging tables and chairs to lay underneath. You may be thinking, get a hold of yourself, Chloe. That scene is more cringe than sad. However, may I remind you, the animatronics are still kids. I found this moment to be so heartbreaking because you are confronted with the fact that Freddy and his friends are just souls robbed of a childhood, robbed of a life. They didn't get to build as many forts as they should have been able to, and how could that not make you cry? As the screen fades to credits, you can see me, too, trying to resume life as normal. Unfortunately, I am a molecularly changed person after seeing FNAF. Images of innocent children and cupcake murders etched into my brain. I can't exactly claim that I wasn't entertained by the film, but I can't claim that I particularly enjoyed it either. At some points, all I could do was gawk at the audaciousness or whatever, of what was happening on screen. At other times, I had to stifle a cry. Five Nights at Freddy's has disturbed me in a very acute, irreversible way. If this was one night with Freddy, I don't think I can handle 5.
Oh my goodness. Okay, 2 things. Five Nights at Freddy's, I just realized the whole...
We did just realize it.
It was 5 nights. Oh my goodness. And it's on the other hand, that is such an cute, like,
Yeah.
I mean, never did I get a tear in my eyes watching this movie. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was also not thinking about the fact that these monsters are actual kids. Yeah, like,
they were always monsters.
Like, it comes to your head, obviously, because it's a big part of why it's happening. But it's not like every time they're killing someone, you're like, oh, that's a kid. So
That's a kid.
That's a kid. So I find it interesting that someone can actually get teary-eyed with it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's wrong.
I hope they're okay.
I hope they're okay.
Chloe,
but
I hope you're okay.
The fort scene... I mean, you mentioned it earlier. We thought it was going to take a big turn and become a little bit more funny because it was a little bit cringe, but I don't think it was cringe enough to take me out of the movie.
Again, I like what the first person said. Like, it needed to be in that weird in-between.
It needed a little freshness for the kids because I feel like at this point in the movie, you're almost like around halfway. The kids watching it, like under... I mean, you're not supposed to watch this if you're under 13, but let's be honest, you are.
Oh, yeah.
and those younger audiences, by half of the movie, you're already a little bit like tense with what's already going on. Because if I remember myself before 13, I was getting scared with absolutely everything. And
also the plot made it so that the characters knew about the animatronics. It was just, why did they know? And what would this lead to now? So, of course, they want to throw you off and be like, they don't know what they're doing.
Just gonna be friends.
If you're nice to them, they won't do anything.
Yeah.
It's like that.
So I feel like at that point you needed some freshness for sure.
Definitely.
All in all, I find Five Nights at Freddy's to be a good mix of what it needed to accomplish for all audiences, and I think it's a nice in between, between horror and a little bit of drama and maybe some comedy. and some quirkiness. I think it's a nice in between on all of that.
Yeah. I thought it was really solid.
Yeah.
Definitely. One of the better horror films we saw in theaters this year, for sure.
Oh, you really think so?
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely not one of the scariest ones.
No.
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 But as far as production value, really well done.
Yeah.
Because even the monsters, you will think, one of my biggest fears when going to watch this movie is because the concept itself, like, I've always been super scared of jump scares. Like, that actually is like the thing that gets me the most. Tension, it's all right. I love tension, but jump scares just absolutely get me. But the whole concept itself of animatronics is never been scary to me. So, because I always found it tacky.
Interesting.
So I was worried about that coming into the movie, hoping that it was that it wasn't tacky, and I don't think it was. I think it was really well done in the monsters and production value again. So I appreciate that.
That's awesome. How many clapping birds out of 5 would you give it?
I really gotta think about It Lives Inside and how I gave that 3. I think this one I'm gonna give it a 3.9.
Why are you not rounding it up to 4?
Because there's other movies that I've given a 4 to that I definitely think are better than this one.
Interesting.
Nothing comes up to mind right now, but I don't think it's quite a 4.
Ugh, you've convinced me. But like 3.95.
3. You were thinking 4?
Yeah, I was. But now I'm just like, compared to... We gotta
to
make
other
like
4s.
a list. We'll post a list of every movie we've ranked a 5 and a 4 and a 3.
And then we'll rearrange.
Correct.
Because I'm sure that if we look back and we're like, oh, I shouldn't have given this movie a whole 4. We're going to do a whole episode rearranging our own list.
There we go. Beautiful. Okay, 3.95 and a 3.9. I'd say this is a pretty solid movie. We had a great time.
Yeah, definitely go watch it if you haven't watched it. If you already watched it, let us know what you thought. And nothing else to say?
No.
All right.
I'm happy.
Well, with that, you can follow us at Ncaught the Podcast on Instagram. You can follow us on YouTube. If you're not watching it right now, we also record these episodes for YouTube. And we do a couple like other things like vlogging and a couple of fun things on there. And you can find that as That Film Couple. And then for TikTok, you can find us with the same exact handle, That Film Couple. And you can find me on Instagram as sevi.mp4.
You can find me at caitlin.mp4.
Thank you so much for being here one more time, and we'll see you in the next one. And cut. Yeah.
I did this, so you can put the usernames in here.
Oh.